I just know I woke up and it seemed like I was on earthly level. I can actually almost guarantee I was on earthly level. And I went through the tunnel. Like, I don't know why. I thought, well, they're presenting me a tunnel. Maybe I should get in it. I mean, anyway, so I go in it. I'm going up this tunnel. Okay, so if you're not in a tunnel, you can only fly up to the astral world, the space-time continuum, space stars up here is where you fly to. Okay, so, and you're literally in space, it's literally space. But this tunnel, you can get through certain tunnels and it'll take you to certain places. Now, this was a lesson for me because it's the first one I actually got into. I went up this tunnel, and I could see the moon. There was cracks in the tunnel. So the more I keep flying up this tunnel, it almost sucks you in too when you get in it. You're not trying to like fly. It just literally sucks you in. I seen the moon. It started, I seen the space, the stars and the moon. Okay, so then I got a little bit higher. Now I'm only seeing bits and pieces out this crack. I get a little bit higher and it turns to daylight again, and it's almost like the clouds we have out here. We just look up and we see the clouds, That's how it was, but it was tunnel systems, vortex systems in the clouds, and it was, they were a bunch, like tunnels that would just fit me. They weren't huge or anything. And so when you're looking out the cracks and you're still going upward, you could see that you're now in the clouds. But you can also see many other tunnel systems, just like the one I was in. There was many. And so I was paying attention to that. I knew I'm going to heaven. This is extreme. And so I get to the end of the tunnel, and this man, he was so grouchy. That's what I did not understand. But he was in human form, and he looked actually to be alive and as a human, honestly. He didn't look to be an astral body. He looked like he had flesh. He was older, and he asked me, why do I keep wandering so far? That was his question to me, and I knew immediately I was not breathing at home. I knew this. There was no doubt about it. So I have 3 kids, and I wanted to say, oh, well, I have 3 kids, and I'm so sorry. It's not my fault that I keep wandering. I couldn't say any of that. I couldn't say it because I didn't have time. I was dying, and so the first thing out of my mouth was the first thing that I thought, which must have meant something in my heart at the time. But my son was sick, and he was in Riley Hospital for a while, and he was, I don't know, just maybe 6 weeks old, 7 weeks old, and so I just brought him home, and it was Christmas time, and we were dealing with a lot of problems with him, medically, and so that's what I told him. I said, my son needs me right now, and nothing else got out of my mouth. I was thrown back with such a force that was incredibly insane. And I went down that tunnel, I'm talking, you can't even say how fast it was. It was so fast. So when I got into the living room, I am head over feet. When I got into the living room, I had to slow my momentum down to get back in my body. My soul was doing this. It's tumbling. I seen my body, my bed. I was in the living room that night. I'm in the living room a lot. But yeah, me and my ex, we like slept in the living room on a pull-out bed a lot because we had a fireplace in there. So it was nice. It was winter. And it was cozy. But head over feet. And so I would see my bed, I would see me, and then I would see the lights on the fireplace mantle, which was the Christmas lights. And I would see that, when you spin really fast, you know how it is to try to get your mind to see. That's what happened. And I was an astral body. I was thrown so fast, even in astral soul form, I couldn't get a focus. So finally I connected into my body, and when I did, I felt every single nerve in my body shock. Literally, like, I can't describe it. I didn't even know I had that many nerves. From my head to my toes, to my feet, to my fingertips, my toenails, everything, not literally toenails, but everything was zapping. I felt a electrical charge in my whole body system. And I knew my eyes were open, and I'm feeling the shock. At the same time, anyone that travels astral projects will know that when you come to, you're very tired. You feel like you can't hardly move. You're so relaxed, and so it's hard to move your body. And if you don't move your body when you wake up from astral projection and you're that tired and relaxed, if you don't force yourself up, you'll go right back out into one. And that was one that I did not want to go back into. And so I had to consciously make myself move. I had to be strong-willed in the mind in order to make my body move, because I was feeling the shock, but I was so tired. It was such a tired feeling that I just didn't have the energy in me to move. But I did. I came out of it. Thank God. Thank Jesus for this. I came out of it, and I remember going to the bathroom and taking water and just spray, putting it on my face, because I did not want to go back to sleep. I smoked a cigarette. I did everything I could, and I sat there in prayer, to Him. Jesus, I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep having these projections. It's not something that I want to have. Please don't judge me for that. The thing is Jesus, I don't feel like He judges you for things. I think that the only reason why I've had so many close calls is because He is there to help me, because I've seeked Him. I'm not sure I'd be here to this day if I hadn't seeked Him in faith. And my mom taught me when I was a little girl, you always pray to Jesus, and so I have. And in my mind, I just knew He was there because that's how I was told. And I remember I used to pray every night before I go to bed. My mom used to pray with me. And I remember one night I went to my grandma's, my dad's mother's, and I forgot to pray. And I woke up, I was probably 5, 6, 7. I woke up and I'm like, Mama, I'm alive. I forgot to pray last night and I didn't die. So my grandma was laughing at me, That's the kind of faith I'm talking about. I didn't really have much time in church, a few occasions here and there. I had a lot of, worldly issues. It doesn't matter. If you have faith and you pray, that's all you need. And so that's what got me to where I am. When I was 11, 12, I had to be a little bit older. I was probably 11 or 12, actually. I don't know. This was amazing. My dad was in prison a lot of my life. But the first time he was in prison, it was from when I was 3 years old until, I think, 12. Something like that. That's why I maybe I was 10 or 11 when I had this dream. He was up for he had 14 years, and he was trying to get out in 7, and so he was due for a hearing. I didn't know my dad. My mother's side had nothing but negative things to say about my father, and my dad's side, my grandmother, I was very close with her. She would talk very highly of him, and I have to admit that I got on the board with my dad's family. Because, I had to find out things myself, but my dad, I love him, and we're not going to get into all this. The point is I was called, okay? My grandma was taking me. This is what I remember. This is how I remembered the dream, because I didn't remember the dream when I woke up. My grandma was taking me home to my other grandma's house, and we were driving, and if anybody knows this location, it was 38th Street and Range Line. There's an intersection at 38 and Range Line right there. And to the right, there was never a building here. Never. So, we're at the interstate intersection. There's a light. To the right, there's not a building. Now, across the street is an orphanage type of stuff. But to the right, directly to the right, there's nothing. And I was like, Mama, hey, see that place right there, that empty lot? There's a building there, and it's set sideways. So, it's a corner lot, but the building actually set sideways. And I said, Mama, I thought I was going to see Santa Claus. And when I walked in, Jesus was on a throne. And I sat on his lap, and he asked me, and, I recall it at this point. It wasn't something I just came up with. I'm just saying, for the weekend that I was at my grandma's, I didn't wake up saying, hey, I had a dream. I was a kid. I didn't think nothing of it, really. But, so, I was telling her, and she wanted me to draw it, because this is the deal. So I'm like, here's the building. Jesus was in a throne sitting there. And I sat on his lap, and he asked me, what is it that I want? I said, Mama, I didn't ask for anything. I didn't ask for toys or anything. You know what I want? I asked for my dad. And Jesus, I remember too, I remember him saying, are you sure this is what you want? Do you want it now or do you want it later? And that is so powerful to me, because I had an option then, and I didn't know what that was at 9, 10, 11 years old. I didn't know what that was. I do now. Now that I'm 34, I do know what that meant. Okay, so he allowed me the choice. And do you want your dad here now? Do you want him here later? If my dad was to, me and my dad are on good terms. You know, I love him, but we're not close by any means. He got out. Let me just tell you that he got out maybe 6 months after that dream. And my grandma was in tears. Obviously, she was in tears because she was like, Lucretia, she knew more than I knew how powerful that dream was. And so I went to she dropped me off at my grandma's. I just remember her crying. You know, she was so happy and delighted and wanted me to draw this picture for her. And it's still that picture. We have it in a cedar chest. It's just powerful. It's a powerful movement. I mean, that was her son, and she knew he was coming home. And she knew that I had a gifted experience on that situation. Nobody told me that at the time. I didn't start astral projecting until 12 or 13, at least that I could recall. And so this was something that I didn't have I wasn't familiar with. So anyway, my dad got out early, 7 years early. And things had happened in that time frame, in the short time he was out, a year or two that he had been out. Things happened. Now, that's been handled, okay? But the deal is if he would have got out 7 years later, then those situations would have happened later in life and they would have affected other people. And so I am blessed that I have been given that opportunity to make a decision on somebody's behalf. It was because Jesus is saying, do you want to deal with this as a youth or do you want to deal with it as an adult? Thank God I said as a youth. I didn't know what I was signing up for. I didn't know what was going to happen. I went with my heart. I just wanted my dad. But at the same time, my higher soul had knowledge that I had no clue about. So Jesus has always been with me. He's always been with me, and I'm so thankful for that. And nobody could ever take that from me. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of people have issues with faith. You know, they want proof. We got people working for proof all the time. And the more people work like to it disqualifies the truth. When you reach to a certain level, you could say, well, I could prove you came from here, or I could prove you came from here. Just know that if you could prove it, there's more to it. Always please remember that, because Jesus isn't something I could prove to any of you guys. I could just tell you what I know, and I have to tell you what I know because it's the truth. And in that, it's important for me to tell you guys that you all can access him too. It's not like I was gifted as an angel or something. It was because of my constant prayer and faith in him. And it still is to this day. And so I know he is who protects me. I know I am not standing in fear. When I have demons around me, I know what I can't handle, but I don't run. If me running the other day when them demons were holding hands praying, me running would have shown fear and untrusting God. I'm not trying to prove anything to God. I'm telling you that those demons would have killed me if I would have ran. If I didn't have trust in God and I would have ran or tried to free away from them, they would have killed me. So the faith is not just about let me try to believe, or let me stand here and say I believe in you, but don't. You know what I mean? You truly within your heart have to know that he's coming, and he, not literally, but he will bring you deliverance. He will protect you. And so when they were around me, I knew that. So I'm not going to say there wasn't, actually I kind of wasn't fearful. I was worried. I was concerned. And I was more so saying, Jesus Christ, now, please, now, because I knew the severity of the situation. But I never doubted the fact that I knew he'd come, and he did, and he will every time. And it's important to realize that when you are here on this earth and you're alive, there's times where you can't see him. He's probably in my presence now because I'm talking about him now. I'm calling him, that's not something you should do. When I speak to you and say, Jesus Christ, come now, he's not worried about me making a video. He's coming to see why. So it's so important that you realize that even though, say he's in my presence, checking out the situation, making sure I don't need him. You know, I can't see him while I'm awake, but I know that I'm safe. You know what I mean? I know that through him I'm delivered by my faith through him. And it doesn't matter what I do. As long as I can continue to go to him, he will continue to guide me. I said not too long ago about a situation where I woke up on another plane. It was dark, so it was space, and a guy was walking in front of me and dropped his backpack. At the moment, I didn't even know, I had no awareness. I didn't know I was an astral form. It seemed like a dream on this particular situation. And so I wasn't trying to govern my thoughts because I didn't distinguish the fact that I was out there. It was just a dream. I wasn't unconsciously aware is the word. The man dropped his backpack and I picked it up and I was like, here you go. And, you know, his books were everywhere. I picked it up, handed it to him. And the guy said thanks and continued to walk. And then I seen Jesus' light and presence, you know, his feet and his gown. And I knew that's when I became consciously aware. Wait a second, this ain't a dream, you know. So something I would have never remembered in a million years was now something I remembered because Jesus let me know, hey, that was a test. I wanted to see your heart. I wanted to see if you'd pick up that bag. It's the same as opening a door for someone. It's the kindness that you have within you. You know, you could fake a lot to a lot of people, but you can't fake it to Jesus. In the situation I was in, I couldn't have faked that for nothing. If I was a cruel person or somebody that wanted to laugh and make fun of someone, that's what I would have done. And the fact that I didn't showed Jesus, as little as that lesson was, it showed him that you are worthy because your heart's good, your heart's pure. And so he spends time with me he spends time with me because I ask him to. I reach out to him. He shows me things all the time. And sometimes I don't know it's him showing me. And then later, maybe a year or two later, I'll think, oh, wow, that's what Jesus was trying to say. You know, I've had him show me things that are absolutely mind-boggling. And like I said, there's no words usually there's no words ever been exchanged, actually. I don't hear him speak in with the mouth. And so I am being shown lessons, or I'm being shown through experience, or I'm being shown I'm put somewhere, or I'm being shown through feeling and telepathic communication. When on awake state here recently, about a week or two ago, I wrote a short book because Jesus came to me. I never wrote a book. It's like 19, 20 pages. It's not done. But he told me to give it to this lady that I don't know from California who's a minister, and that's what I did. But that's when I heard his voice. I heard him coming through and a voice through thought, and that's in my awake state, and that's new to me. It's never happened before. I simply followed what he'd asked me to do because I know it was him, and that's a big deal, you know. There is so much that he tries to teach us. There's so much, and you just don't, it's hard to, you don't always understand what that is until maybe later. But then there's some times where it's like God had to warn me about that. God is who helped me. I'll give you a couple more situations, but we're getting really long into this. I went to the grocery store, and I was sitting there smoking my cigarette, had my feet propped up on the door. My kids were gone. It was just me. And I was in a town over from mine, and nobody really knows me there. And these two girls pulled in, and they were so strung out, literally. I live in a town where everywhere there's drugs, but this was a really bad situation. They were kind of mean mugging me, and you know, I'm not scared to fight. I never have been. If I have to fight, I will. And I wasn't scared of these girls, but I got this very heavy vibe. You know, there's 2 against 1. I still wasn't scared of them, I'll tell you that. And I'm not just saying that to be cool. I had a lot of confidence, but I could tell they couldn't hide from me. You know what I mean? And the fact that they were up to no good and they were targeting me for some reason. So I did my shopping. Their energy was really heavy. They were following me aisle to aisle. I took a long time to put my bags away, and you know what I mean? to check out. I took a long time. They had to get in front of me at a different register. I was worried that they were going to come out behind me. They had 2 items. I had almost 2 carts full. My car was heaping over. So that tells you they were waiting, and I knew it. Don't know who they are. I don't have enemies. The point is that right there, God, I was warned, and it wasn't through, hey, Lucretia. No, it was through feeling. It was through allowing me to have these feelings. So, you guys have those too. Everybody does. If you have a bad feeling in your gut, it's wrong. If you have a good feeling, most likely it's right. If you have a intuition not to go somewhere, don't go. Those are there for a reason. The other life, the afterworld, communicates with you through thought and feelings. And so if you have that thought, you listen to it, because there is a definite reason. When I walked out, there was 2, I was very observant, because I was, watching out for these girls. I realized that their car was gone. So I was like, oh, they're gone, good. But then there was 2 other people, actually 3, that were out of place, okay? I'm walking, I have my cart. The carts, like where you get the carts, are over here. There was a man and a woman standing right here to my right, and I noticed them first thing. It looked like they were getting their carts. So I pushed my cart to my car. I popped the trunk. I'm throwing groceries in. I'm still kind of doing fast. I'm still feeling very heavy for some reason. Then I see them. Okay, I got a good peripheral. I played basketball for many years. I was taught to look outside this, we had eye strain practice, literally at practice. And so I could see a good view around my peripheral. And they were coming at me, like walking slowly. But I seen them coming. I'm getting my bags, put them in the trunk. I seen them coming. Now I'm thinking, okay, why were they at the carts? They didn't go in. I know they didn't come out, because I just stood in line for how long? They weren't in there. So that, my mind's telling me the same thing my gut's telling me something isn't right. And the first thing I thought was, they're going to rob my purse. I had my purse right here. They're going to rob my purse. And I'm thinking, man, I'm not going to let them get my purse. Like, I'm over people at this point. I'm over the town at this point. I'm over it. I had fear, yes. I felt that horrible feeling within me, but I'm kind of a hard-headed. So anyway, and I carry, but my gun was in my purse, so that was doing me real good over here. So I took the last bag, I threw it in, I grabbed my purse, I hurry up, I tossed it in the car. Before I'm even in the car, I toss it in there. At this point, they're coming right here. They're right here. And so I get in the car, I hurry up and shut the door, and right now, they're literally touching my mirror, my rearview mirror on my driver's side. Literally, that's how close they are. And I'm thinking, okay, they just wanted my purse, and they ain't getting it now, so I'm good, right? So I start my car, and as soon, I know, and then this was a quick reaction. I'm talking slow, like, telling you the story, but this was like, boom. And I had to throw my car and drive to make all the doors lock. I had four doors on my car. And I knew that I didn't have time to sit there, and I started it, put it straight in drive, and I locked all the doors. And when that happened, they then walked right in front of my car, and these 2 people were arguing. You should have fucking grabbed her. That's what the dude said. Okay, the woman said to the guy. And she was pissed. And I thought, oh my gosh. These people weren't coming from my purse. They weren't coming from my purse. I couldn't back up. My car's already backed up, right? So I have to pull out. And they're standing in front of my car. I didn't think about running them over. I mean, I should have. But anyway, they're arguing in front of me. And I felt safe in my car. I did. I have my gun, my purse, my doors are locked. But the fact is that I heard them clearly. I mean, it wasn't in my head. I heard her clearly say, why didn't you grab her? Okay, so this just totally freaks me out. So then she walks up back to the store, and she stands by a pillar. Okay, so she's this way. I have to go this way to get out. He goes right beside me and gets in a car that I never even noticed. A black car to the right of me that was parked. He was parked here, and he had a driver in that car. So there was a male driver. The other male got in the passenger seat. She walked up to the building. And I am literally in shock at this point, I hurry up and hightail it out of there. I have to go to the left. It's kind of confusing, but I had to go to the left to get out. And then I have to go back to the right, go down a side street to get where I need to go. The point is, I needed to go this way. So this is the deal. So I had to go this way, and the lady, she was so evil. I've never probably ever seen anything that evil in this human life. She couldn't hide. She couldn't hide from me. These people were not the two girls that I had ran into on my way in. There was somebody else. I kind of do think they're affiliated. I don't know why. But this lady was so downright evil and cruel and heartless. She was capable of anything. She had glasses on. She had short hair. It was red. I remember that. And it was like a brown red, but she just looked at me like, I'm going to kill you. And she had glasses on. Like, I'm telling you, my soul, my spiritual being knows, and it knew that I've seen demons, that were nicer than this lady. That's how strong. So I still to this day don't know who those people were. I pull to the right, and she's literally up against the building like this with her foot staring at me as I'm at the stop sign turning right. And so I kind of thought it might have been personal at this point, because, like, why would you act like that? So then I go down the side street, and I look, and that black car is still sitting there. And I'm like, are they going to try to grab someone else that comes out? So I don't know. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but, I mean, that was the story. And I went home, and I'm going to tell you why. I was nervous. I've never been scared, to live. Paranoid or anything like that. I was paranoid for about a week to 2 weeks. I was afraid to leave the house. I didn't know who enemies came from what. I have a big family. They all are wild. They're all fighters. I've had times before I've ran into people that were looking for my family. But the deal is like, this wasn't none of that. This wasn't family drama. This wasn't somebody that's trying to rob my purse. This almost seemed to be like a sex slave type of thing, is what I think. But I don't know. I don't know who they were. But I don't understand any other reason why they would want to steal me and put me in this car. So I guess what I'm telling you is these little situations aren't so little. If I wasn't having trust in myself and knowing my feelings, trust in the afterlife of what they tell me, you can't always see. So don't think for a second that just because you can't see it, it isn't there. You must listen to your gut instincts. Those are telling you something. Those feelings that come amongst you is for a reason. So, and even telepathic thinking, thoughts, something ain't right, something ain't safe, something ain't setting well. You don't know what it is. I shouldn't have went in that store. I should have stayed in my car and pulled out, is what I should have done, because I was warned. But thankfully for that warning, I was smart enough to listen enough to be very observant to my situation and my surroundings. This was in the middle of daylight. So there is some other stories about Jesus. This is getting so long, it's going to take days to upload. I'll go with one more for now, and then we might talk some more later. But when I was with my ex, he had a lot of at the beginning he had a lot of drug addictions, and then he got better. We built our family, and then there at the end, his father passed away, and it caused him to do some relapse. And so years of what had been so solidly perfect had went bad for him. And I stood by his side as long as I could for I was with him 13 years. But there was a lot of emotional issues. And so the house had demons. Emotions are demons, literally. And I'll get into this in another video. It's going to take a lot of time to talk about that. But you got like the spirit of anger. You got the spirit of depression. You got the spirit, addiction. These are all demons. Demons have possession. When you have these low levels of frequencies, demons can consume you. This house was full of demons. I lived there, and I'm always praying all the time. My son, he was probably 5 or 6 at the time, had seen a ghost, but it was a dark entity. It had a hood. It sounded like the Grim Reaper. He swore it was in his closet for maybe 2 or 3 months. I never seen it. I'm like, oh, it's okay. You're fine, buddy. I didn't see it, 2 or 3 months passed by, and I did an out-of-body experience trip or whatever. I was walking down the hallway, and the hallway where my son's room was the closet right here. I'm in the hallway, right? But behind this wall that you can't see is my son's closet that he told me this thing lived in. Next thing I know, this thing comes through the wall and is in my presence right here, standing face to face. Well, I'm pissed at this thing, because now I know my son's seeing for real what this is in this house. And I attacked it. You know, I'm not weak, especially when it comes to my kids. And so I'm pissed, you know. And this was before I was so close with Jesus. Now, I've always been praying to him. I've always had faith in him. But this was before I had a weapon to protect me. It was before I actually seen him in person. And it was so much anger in me at this thing. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this black entity, demon, Grand Reaper bullshit had a necklace on, and it looked like a skeleton key hanging to it. And so I don't know what this skeleton key even means. I don't know none of that. But so I'm mad, and I'm like, get out of my house. So I yank this off of his neck, you know. I yank it and I throw it, and when I did, it goes out the wall, the outside wall, and it goes outside, like outside. So he goes running after it, and I'm like, okay, good. He's gone. Well, I guess that was important to him, whatever that was. Next thing I know, he's back in my presence, and he's holding his mouth open, and he's swallowing the key. And I'm like, I have no idea what this means, you know? So I'm praying, Jesus, please get this thing out of my house. Like, I apparently can't do it on my own, and I'm praying, you know? And it finally did go away, but the thing is nothing ever stayed gone in this house, because the more hurt, the more anger, the more addiction, anything, the more you surround yourself with people with those addictions or with those emotional disturbances, causes this to fill up within your house. And my house was full of it. And so I had to end up leaving him. It was very tough. You know, I loved him. And I do love him as a person. We are very close to this day. We have a very good relationship with our children, but I could never be with him. The reason why is because he still holds on to so much emotional issues that with me being in his presence, it had lowered my vibration down, and it caused me to only see bad, and mentally that was too much. And so separation had to take place, and it was for the better for me. But in saying this, I want to tell you that this man came to me, and he looked like the man at the end of the tunnel. This was way later in life, you know. But he resembled him, and he was dressed. He was dressed. He just looked like a human. But later I found out it wasn't him. But that's who he looked like at first. So it really scared me, because he said you have less than 12 months to live, and he told me this. And I was so paranoid for like 12 months, literally. I'm like, oh, I'm not riding my motorcycle today because the weather's, you know, I'm not feeling it. I was starting to change my life around. I was so afraid to die. And I would pray all the time, Jesus, please don't take me yet. I'm not ready to go. I have a lot of learning to do. My kids need me. I love living. I don't want to die. And so this entity is not the first one that's told me, you know, you're going to die young, or you but this entity has said you have 12 months to live, less than 12 months to live, and so put a time frame on it. I should have known better. However, I did believe it, got in my head,